High above the 9 heavens, the wind howled through the majestic peaks of the sect, whipping past white cranes that soared gracefully over ancient temples. Below, a massive crowd of disciples had gathered in the courtyard, their collective gaze fixed intently on a colossal gate sealed with complex golden magic. An elder stood before the entrance, his voice booming across the grounds as he announced the momentous occasion. The 9-Lives Celestial Venerable was about to validate his Tao and ascend to sainthood. The atmosphere crackled with electric anticipation. Whispers rippled through the crowd, disciples murmuring that witnessing such a feat was the luck of 3 lifetimes. With a respectful gesture, the elder signaled the commencement of the tribulation to welcome their supreme leader. From the shadows, the 9-Lives Celestial Venerable stepped forward, a confident, arrogant smirk playing on his lips as he prepared to challenge the heavens themselves. He made his grand entrance striding forward with that same arrogant smirk, flanked by a stunning harem of powerful female cultivators. These were his 8 empresses, each radiating elegance and power, their robes fluttering in the high winds as they followed their lord toward the tribulation grounds. Watching from the sidelines, the disciples couldn't help but gossip, questioning if the Venerable was merely showing off his harem rather than focusing on the solemnity of the Tao. One junior disciple openly envied the Venerable's incredible luck with women, marveling at how every single empress was a top-tier beauty. Suddenly, the sect elder snapped at them, sweat beading on his forehead from the sheer intensity of the moment. He warned the juniors to focus, reminding them that this ascension tribulation was a legendary event they might never witness again in their lifetimes. Legend spoke of the 9-Lives Celestial Venerable's bloody history, how he had single-handedly slaughtered the monster race and annihilated the entire demon realm. To the cultivation world, he was not merely a man, he was an absolute, invincible existence who had never known defeat. His hands were stained with the blood of countless foes, having crushed powerful demon lords as easily as insects during his meteoric rise to power. But today, the atmosphere shifted violently. The sky above tore open, revealing a massive, swirling vortex of celestial energy. The Venerable stood alone at the summit, his robes flapping in the divine wind as he prepared to leave the mortal coil behind. A sharp, arrogant grin spread across his face as he announced his final step toward godhood. With eyes glowing a menacing crimson, he flared his aura, daring the entire world to try and stand in his way. With a burst of speed that tore through the atmosphere, the 9-Lives Celestial Venerable shot into the heavens, leaving a blazing golden trail in his wake. Below, the sect elders watched with bated breath, realizing the moment of destiny had finally arrived. High above the mortal realm, the Venerable floated in the eye of a violent storm, his robes whipping around him as the energy gathered. Suddenly, he sensed a crushing pressure descending from the void above. The sky shattered as a colossal azure dragon descended, carrying a divine elder wielding a mystic mirror, the avatar of the heavens themselves. A female cultivator gasped in pure horror, recognizing this entity as the ancient modern Celestial Venerable, the single deadliest eternal Great Tribulation recorded in history. Yet the disciples on the ground refused to despair, shouting their unwavering faith that their master remains invincible against any god or demon. Facing the ultimate judgment, the 9-Lives Celestial Venerable did not tremble. Instead, a bloodthirsty smirk crossed his face as he eagerly accepted the challenge. The ancient modern Celestial Venerable accepted the challenge with a fierce glare. In response, the 9-Lives Celestial Venerable erupted with a golden aura, manifesting a colossal deity avatar to meet the heavens head-on. The heavenly elder struck back, his azure dragon swirling violently as he unleashed a blinding beam of destruction from his divine mirror. The resulting clash engulfed the world in white light, sending devastating shockwaves tearing through the sect grounds below. As the chaos unfolded, 3 powerful empresses stepped forward: the red rhombus empress Yu Hongling, the vermilion bird empress Ji Zuyan, and the 9-heavens sword maiden Chu Ling. Chu Ling gazed up with intense devotion, whispering that they had waited an eternity for their master to reach this moment. The ancient modern Celestial Venerable triggered his ultimate trap, fracturing reality as countless clones flooded the sky to initiate a time technique. On the ground, the onlookers panicked, realizing these avatars were traversing time dimensions to hunt Liu Ye across his entire history. If the enemy succeeded in killing him in any past timeline, the Liu Ye of the present would be instantly erased. But amidst the tension, a knowing, confident smile crossed the Empress's face. Liu Ye revealed a sinister grin of his own, having anticipated this exact desperate move. A terrifying crimson aura erupted from his body, shattering the temporal attack. He looked up with absolute arrogance, proclaiming that in every time period he remained an invincible existence.
However, the ancient modern celestial venerable unleashed a torrent of blue lightning, tearing through the sky and overwhelming Lu Ye's crimson aura. Amidst the chaotic clash, the venerable delivered a chilling proclamation. He hadn't just attacked the present, he had systematically slaughtered every version of Lu Ye across the timeline.
The force of the assault slammed Lu Ye into the ground, shattering the earth beneath him as he struggled to comprehend how his temporal defenses failed. Hovering triumphantly above, the Venerable revealed the true nature of his trap. Lu Ye hadn't just been overpowered, he had been infected by the insidious yin-yang Tao-devouring goo. The old monster explained that while Lu Ye was strong, this hidden parasite created the fatal opening he needed to bypass Lu Ye's guard. Blood trickled from Lu Ye's mouth as he frantically analyzed the situation, realizing someone else must have framed him to plant such a specific goo worm. A sudden, terrifying realization struck him, his eyes widening in shock as he connected the dots. He whipped his head around, staring down at the palace grounds below with a look of disbelief. As a sinister, playful giggle echoed through the air, Lu Ye realized the true culprit might be closer than he ever imagined. Lu Ye's gaze turned to horror as the shadows lifted, revealing the faces of his own lovers. The women he cherished stood before him, their expressions twisted into mocking sneers and cold malice. The realization hit him instantly. This specific goo poison was formless and could only be transferred during the union of yin and yang. He wasn't overpowered in battle, he was infected during his most intimate moments by the very people he trusted with his life. Hovering above the tragedy, the ancient modern celestial venerable shook his head in mock pity. He taunted Lu Ye, pointing out the cruel irony that a man of such power was brought to his knees not by an enemy, but by the calculated betrayal of his own wives. The women showed no remorse, coldly turning their backs on him. They rewrote their history together, claiming they lived in terror of his tyranny and lust, screaming that he stole them away from their true loves like Feng Musi. Accusations flew as they branded him a master-deceiving devil who slaughtered the innocent.
Gathering their energy, the three betrayers prepared to deliver the final blow themselves. Lu Ye stared up from the wreckage, blood streaming down his face. With a single red eye glowing with incomprehensible fury, he watched the women he once loved launch a combined strike to end his existence. One of the Empresses leaned in with a twisted grin, her eyes manic as she declared that his death was the key to their freedom. Lu Ye wasn't going down quietly. He summoned a sphere of crimson energy, his aura exploding outward as he scoffed at their pathetic attempt. He reminded them that he was the sole reason they held the title of Empress, his heart hardening against the ungrateful wretches he once loved. But his rage left him vulnerable. High above, the ancient modern celestial venerable seized the opening, chiding Lu Ye for losing focus before unleashing a massive seal of blue lightning. The attack crashed down with devastating force, engulfing the Emperor, while the onlookers below watched in stunned silence. Yet even as his body failed, Lu Ye didn't scream. Blood dripped from his lips, but a chilling smirk formed on his face as he accepted his death with a final, defiant laugh. Lu Ye's eyes burned with demonic fury as he made his final, desperate gambit. If he was destined to fall here, he ensured that he wouldn't be traveling to the afterlife alone. The pink-haired Empress recoiled in sheer terror, instantly recognizing the instability in his aura. He was igniting his own cultivation core to trigger a catastrophic explosion, and she screamed for everyone to flee the blast zone. But for the dark-haired Empress, panic turned to paralyzed resignation. As the energy swelled, she realized that escape was impossible. The end was already upon them. Suddenly, a calm wave of blue energy swirled into existence, dampening the chaotic red inferno.
The ancient modern celestial venerable stepped forward, looking disappointed rather than afraid, mocking Lu Ye for resorting to such a miserable tactic before the battle could reach its peak. The ancient modern celestial venerable suppressed the chaotic explosion, declaring that a victory won through poison was meaningless and decided to intervene. With a wave of his hand, he opened a massive swirling vortex, dragging the terrified Empresses into the void to accompany Lu Ye for a second chance at fate. The Venerable activated the space-time reversal Tefik, flinging the souls of Lu Ye and the 8 Empresses 50 years into the past. Lu Ye jolted awake in a cold sweat, his eyes sharp and confused as he found himself back in his youthful body. He rushed to the mirror, staring at his reflection in sheer disbelief that the Venerable's insane gambit actually worked. The door suddenly creaked open, and a groggy woman stumbled in, clutching her head from the side effects of the time jump. It was Chu Ling, currently just a dizzy servant girl, unaware that she was destined to become the Nine Heavens Sword Maiden. Chu Ling stared at her hands in shock, her mind reeling as she questioned whether the future was just a nightmare, while instinctively recoiling from the man she once called master. Noticing her genuine terror, Lu Ye's eyes narrowed with a sharp realization. She retained her memories of the timeline too.
A sinister grin spread across his face as he silently thanked the ancient modern celestial venerable for this perfect chance to settle the score. Instead of acknowledging the time jump, Lu Ye arrogantly took a seat and commanded the future sword maiden to wash his feet like a common servant. Chu Ling hesitated, her eyes burning with humiliation, but Lu Ye watched her closely, fighting the urge to execute her on the spot for her betrayal.
As she reluctantly knelt to scrub, Lu Ye decided that a quick death was too merciful. To truly punish a traitor filled with such resentment, he must break her spirit completely. Lu Ye gazed down at his traitorous disciple, deciding that death was far too merciful. True punishment would be letting her survive to see just how miserable her existence became without his protection. A wicked grin split his face as he shattered her composure, revealing that he knew the truth. None of this was a dream, and they had both returned to the past. Chu Ling froze, her eyes widening in sheer panic as the realization hit that her master retained his memories of the future as well. Leaning over his trembling disciple, Lu Ye taunted her with the specific details of the ancient modern celestial venerable's technique, proving he recalled every word of her betrayal from that day. Sweat beaded on Chu Ling's forehead as she stammered, terrified of the retribution that must surely be coming. But instead of striking her down, Lu Ye leaned back with an arrogant smirk and granted her the one thing she claimed to want: absolute freedom.